Hey, Yinz guys and gals, gather round for a journey like no other. It's time to hop on board the Where Yinz Goin podcast, proudly brought to you by Dreams by Design Travel. From the rivers that meet at the point to form downtown Pittsburgh to the furthest corners of the globe, that'll be your compass, your confidant, your companion in that as we explore the wonders of travel. Kick back, relax on your couch, and let the wanderlust wash over Yinz as we discover new horizons and reminisce about old favorites. With Dreams by Design Travel by our side, the sky's the limit. Join Matt on the Where Yinz Goin podcast because when it comes to travel, the journey's just getting started. And now, without further ado, let's give a shout for your guide through the highways and byways of travel, the man with a map, the voice of the steel city, Matt Trader.
How Yinz doing? Welcome to the Where Yinz Goin podcast, brought to you by Dreams by Design Travel. I'm Matt. I'm one of your hosts. There's a change there. All right, joining me today are Maureen and Katie. Now, Maureen joined me to talk about Disney's Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, and I think everyone knows Katie by now. But there's a little bit of a change here that Katie is visiting us in a new capacity. I guess she's not visiting now. She has been promoted to co-host.
I know. If you beg Matt enough to be on like every single episode, he finally just says, I'm so tired of like introducing you, so we're just gonna make you a co-host.
Well, that and those pictures that you found of me. So, but once I get those back, then no. No, it's because Katie has joined me so often and she keeps saying, Can I come back? Can I come back? And it's sure. So now it's she's now in residence here. So, but welcome, ladies. And as we start every podcast, so Maureen, since Katie's kind of officially joining me now, what is your favorite place you've ever visited, or is there a place you'd like to visit the most?
Okay. So the place I want to visit the most right now that I've not visited is Scotland, Ireland. My family heritage is Scotland and Ireland, and my husband is from Czechoslovakia. But I really, really, really want to go take a river cruise or a tour through Scotland, Ireland, and the British Isles.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
And did you mention that the last time you were on here, Maureen?
I think I might have said that my favorite was Aulani, and that's probably
why you're back here to talk. And in case you haven't noticed,
yeah.
today we're talking
So there
about
you
Aulani.
go.
So I should have started today with
lead-in for
Aloha
that, so.
instead of how Yin's doing, but because somebody else mentioned a Scotland and Ireland trip as their place they want to go the most.
And it could have been one of mine. I've there's several, but because of my family heritage, that's one of my things I really want to go to.
And I'm a little more than 1/3 Irish. So whenever I had hair, it had a nice little reddish tint to it. And a couple of my cousins are pure gingers. So there's no mistaking. My mom's maiden name was Tyler. So yeah, we're right in there.
And my maiden name's Mulligan. So I'm definitely Irish, and my grandmother and my mother and that family came from Scotland. So I'm definitely Celtic. So there we go.
So yeah, in the Scottish Highlands, I'm 1/3 Irish, but I can't do an Irish accent, but I can do a really good Scottish one. So, all right. So as we mentioned, yes, Aloha. We're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to talk about Aulani, a Disney resort and spa, which you're going to notice a theme here with Aulani. After they have a name, it then gives a description of what it's all about. So with all the different places in there. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts of what you're going to whenever you're at Aulani. But just starting off with some facts about Hawaii, the 50th state, joined in 1959. It is actually made up of 137 islands that span 1,500 miles. So it's spread out pretty much across like half of the United States. But there are 8 main islands that are grouped together, and 6 of those are inhabited. Aulani is on Oahu. So it opened in 2011 and then had a big expansion in 2013. And it is in a town called Ko Olina. And Maureen, you have a story about that?
My first trip that we went there was back in 2017, I believe. And while I was there, as a travel agent, I was able to visit and tour the agency or the resort. Ironically, nobody else showed up for the tours, it was just my husband and I. But every time I called to arrange anything, I heard, "Welcome to Aulani, a Disney resort and spa on Ko Olina, Hawaii." And I heard this like 1,001 times, so that we all started laughing. Every time we talked about Aulani, it was Aulani, Aulani, not Aulani, Aulani, a Disney resort and spa at Ko Olina, Hawaii. And we just cracked up. It's like, okay, so now every time I talk about Aulani, it's Aulani, a Disney resort and spa in Ko Olina, Hawaii. That is, it's a long, that's just the way it is. I mean, that every time I hear it now, that's how we talk about it. The entire family, that's how we talk about it.
And that's one thing you'll notice though is the pronunciation and the accent marks. And
Yes.
it takes some getting used to with the actual pronunciation. And it's a change from English where we contract things and have silent letters and everything. But in Hawaiian, you pronounce every letter and the accent marks are a little pause. And it's like some other languages. My wife is from Indonesia and you pronounce every letter there and it's always pronounced the same way. So in some ways, it's a little bit easier to learn than English. And, phonetics actually works the way phonetics should.
And in some ways, you call things by the wrong name your whole trip there, and the lovely Disney cast members just smile and then laugh at you and giggle. So,
They also are so happy to share with you and
yes,
tell you how to say something correctly. It's
yes.
amazing. They're so proud of their heritage and they're so proud to share with you what they learned. Yeah, it's great. They're amazing.
And they were uber patient with me because, yeah, they needed to be, bless their hearts. So,
So it's kind of like me whenever I was first trip to Indonesia. It was actually for our wedding that I had to say something in Indonesian, and they made me. I had it memorized. I knew how to do it. There, said, "Okay, practice it once." Like, no, I got it. Like, no, practice. Like, come on, I have to say it twice now. Once is bad enough. I guess do it twice. But whenever I said it, in an American accent, of course, and then everyone was giggling about it. It's like, did I mess up? Like, no, they think it's funny. It's like, okay, thanks. So, but um, as Katie Maureen said, do your best. And that is actually one thing that whenever you are traveling abroad, and well, Hawaii is not really abroad, but it's a bit of a different culture, that if you make the attempt to pronounce things in the local language or, and you try to do things as the locals do it, it's appreciated. Even if you mess up, if you're making an attempt, it is appreciated. So,
well, and I think that's like the theme throughout all of Aulani, a Disney resort and spa, is that the Hawaiian culture is front and center in
Yes.
everything in it. And I think there's a misnomer that it's a Disney resort. And so it's going to be Disney up in your face all of the time. And it is absolutely not the case. They are very conscious of the fact that you almost feel like, in my opinion, you feel like Hawaii has gifted Disney with this beautiful area to have this wonderful, beautiful resort on, and Disney is repaying that favor by educating their visitors and their guests about what makes Hawaii just one of those places that you can't get out of your mind. As soon as you go, you want to go back over and over again. And that is the resort. It has so much Hawaiian culture in it that you can't help but after your stay become enthralled with the people and the heart of what makes Hawaii a beautiful place to visit.
I agree. And the people are so proud of their culture and they want to share it. They love it when you ask them questions. They love it when you say, "How do you say this? What does this mean?" And they share it. They're so proud.
and that's a theme with, I guess, Maureen, we're gonna have become like a theme guest. That whenever we talked about Lookout Key, that it was the same
Yes.
thing with the Bahamian
Yes. The same
culture.
thing.
That
Right.
Disney did a similar thing with Aulani as they did with Lighthouse Point, and we're bringing our guests to these other places under the banner of Disney, but we want to give you an experience where you're going to get to enjoy and be immersed in the local culture.
And I think that's what, if I were to tell someone, because people will say, well, I don't want to go, or I go to Aulani and it doesn't have the Disney feel. It's different. They do have a Disney feel. It's a magical feel, but it is based on the culture of Hawaii. And the people are going to share that. And it's a very magical experience, but it's different. And it's wonderful, and everyone should experience it.
Okay, are we going to just end it now and just pack our bags and start
Sure,
planning the
there you
trip?
go. Let's go. I'm ready to go.
No, we can't end it because there's too many things to share about this wonderful resort that if we ended it right now, we'd miss out on all of the
Well,
really great
true.
stuff.
That's true. That's true. You're right, Katie. But oh my gosh, is it not amazing?
So we feel, Maureen and I feel kind of bad because Matt was like, come and do this podcast with us. And we warned Matt, we were like, we're going to ruin you. By the end of this, you're going to be booking it right away and we're going to gush about it and we will not stop gushing about it because it is just such a phenomenal, this was on my list, my bucket list since it opened. And I still am pinching myself after coming back a month ago about the fact that I got to do this and I got to see these things and I got to experience it. And I can't wait to do it again. And I love to travel and I love to do things. And I will be totally enthralled with a lot of different places. But this just, it was just so perfect. So perfect. And you can't say that about very many places.
It was amazing. And yeah, I can't wait to go again. I've been there twice and I'm ready for another one. It's amazing. Okay, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, they warned me. Okay, this is gonna be like a 3-hour podcast. So if this spans over like 3 weeks of podcast episodes, you're forewarned. But anyone who is a fan of the podcast who has listened to the episodes, this is the payoff from an earlier episode when Katie was on, when she said about going to Aulani, and I told her she's coming back to talk about it. So the trip is completed, and as you heard, she's gushing still. So, but the Ko Olina, it is in the southwestern part of the island of Oahu. It's about 20 miles west of Honolulu. So anyone who's a state capital fan, they're just the capital of Hawaii. It covers 21 acres, and Aulani is the Hawaiian way of saying messenger of the chief. So you're going to notice this in a lot of the names for the different shops and the different places at Aulani that they have used actual Hawaiian words that kind of go with what the purpose of the place is. So,
well, and the reason why the messenger of the chief is a big deal is because the agreement between Disney and the Hawaiian officials was that they could bring this resort in, but they had to pay homage to the Hawaiian culture. And what they wanted is they wanted the guests to be like, I'm more educated about Hawaii. I'm more educated about the people that call Hawaii home. And it has a part of my heart. And the fact that a chief is giving you a message, he's giving you a message of like good tidings and like love and like, please come and learn, sit by me and learn about my people, learn about the things that matter to me. And that is why it is such like a fitting name for such a beautiful place.
and again, Poetic Katie is going to make her appearance.
And she's totally right. She's totally right.
So, just a few facts and figures before we get into more about Aulani is that there are 351 rooms in two 15-story towers. They have standard rooms, which are, and I'm going to throw out some numbers here. Don't worry, this will not be on the test. The standard rooms are 352 square feet, fit up to 4 guests. A 1-bedroom suite is 750 square feet, so more than double that, and you get up to 5 guests in there. There's a signature 1-bedroom suite that is 1,500 square feet and can fit five guests. And then his signature two-bedroom suite, which is 1,900 square feet for six guests, which that's bigger than my house. So I don't know. But there's only one of those signature two-bedroom suites there. So make sure you get it. And be careful because I think Katie has those booked up for a couple weeks next year.
That's
already.
right. That's right. But I'm taking volunteers to come and stay. So
This is also one of the Disney Vacation Club resorts, and they have 481 villas. Now, you don't need to be a DVC member to stay in these villas. You can book them, just like a normal other room. But those who are DVC members, you can use your points to stay there. They have a Club Deluxe Studio, one bedroom, two bedroom, and three bedroom suites for the villas. The studio is 356 square feet with up to four guests, so it's comparable to the regular standard room. One bedroom is the same as the one bedroom suite of 750 square feet up to five guests. Two bedroom is 1,100 square feet with nine guests, and the three bedroom grand villas, and there are 21 of these, are 2,100 square feet and up to 12 guests.
And I was able to tour one of these, and they're beautiful.
they are so stunning.
They are stunning. They're on the end of the towers. They have amazing balconies. They're incredible. Yeah, they're amazing.
We took a tour as well, and our tour guide was thrilled because he had been saving up some of his points, and he was like, I was able to snag one of these for my birthday. It's going to be his 50th birthday on New Year's Eve. And so he's bringing in his whole family. All of his ohana is going to come and stay in one of these 3-bedroom grand villas, and they're going to watch the fireworks out on the bay. And he said they're like these huge, massive, long windows and a deck and everything like that. And he was like, he's like, I love it when I get to give tours during January and February, because he's like, the whales, they breach off of the ocean right here, and you can see them in January and February. He was it was so much fun, because you kind of think, well, maybe they take it for granted that they get to do this every day. But he was like, this is my dream trip. He's like, I can't wait to share it with my daughters and my grandchildren and my mom. And it was just wonderful to hear about the fact that he's going to stay. And he's so excited about this grand villa, just as excited as me or anyone else that would have a chance to stay there.
And they're amazing. They're beautiful. I mean, when we toured it, I was so excited that I was able to tour and look and share it. It was phenomenal. I was like, oh, the views are incredible. Incredible.
And you don't necessarily have to be a travel advisor to do these tours. That we've been at in, I think it was Saratoga Springs in Walt Disney World, and they have some of the model rooms that you can go and tour. So if you ask, and they're more than willing to take you around. And again, I had a similar situation with the cast member who took us on our tour that he was gushing about. He's like, oh, this is so neat. And look at this. Look at the new thing they did here. And look at this little detail. And they really get into it, that they love this stuff just as much as we do. So we mentioned before that this is, again, it's a Disney resort. And there is what they call the Disney difference, that you get that level of service that you expect from a Disney park, that you're going to get that at Aulani. Just happens to be in a tropical paradise. So, but they have activities and entertainment that come with this Disney storytelling, but it's going to be storytelling that is geared towards Hawaiian legends and Hawaiian culture, but you still get that level of storytelling that you would expect from Disney. The theming with the pools and the lazy river, and they have like a little rapids ride and water slides. You get to meet Disney characters. You have some of the luxurious accommodations that have the Disney touches. So little accents with, a Disney character, or the color scheme that's going to match with the Disney character, what you expect from them. They have stuff to do for people of all ages. And as was mentioned before, that they worked with the local Hawaiians to bring the culture of the island to the resort. And we mentioned it was like
That's what
Lookout
like
Key.
right. And they're so proud. Anytime you ask them, especially, what does the word mean? And they are so happy to share that with you, to share where they came from, how they got there. It's amazing. I love it because they're so excited to share their whole culture and their history. It's incredible.
So
I want to go
Maureen,
back. Can I tell you that? I want to go. I'm ready to go back.
do you remember the first time you walked into the lobby?
Oh my
Did
God.
you like lose like your breath, find yourself having to catch your breath?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And the other part was because it was the same, it was Joe who, designed a Manimal Kingdom and designed Aulani. I did. We both, my husband and I both were like, wow, this is incredible. It was beautiful. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
So one of the things that happened to us is that Hawaii, I'm in Utah, so I'm on Mountain Standard Time. So the time change is really not that big of a deal as like the East Coast people, but it's still a pretty drastic time change. And so we flew in and settled in, and the next morning it was probably 3:30 Hawaiian time that we got up. And my husband and I decided we were just going to go ahead and just walk around. And we walked out into the lobby and it was quiet and there was nobody there. The lights were on and it has this there's an overarching theme of orange. Orange is a very prominent color in the lobby and you walk in and you just feel even in the dark and the sun hasn't risen yet and the only people that are out are like the little kids that their moms and dads don't know what to do with them because they're on East Coast time. And so they're playing in the ocean and everything like that. But we're in this lobby and you can feel the warmth. Like it's an actual feeling of warmth and like welcome. And it just, if you have ever walked into Animal Kingdom Lodge, the lobby there, if you've walked into
The same feeling of Animal Kingdom Lodge. Yes.
Wilderness Lodge, the
Yes.
Grand Floridian, those deluxe resorts at Disney, Walt Disney World, Grand Californian at Disneyland, where you walk
Yes.
in and you
Yes.
just find yourself going, they thought of everything and it's so
Well,
beautiful.
and
That
Joe
is the
Rohde was he was instrumental with this, and you can see his touches in every part of this.
Yeah, and that's the
yes.
Joe that Maureen mentioned
That, I
before.
mean,
Not everyone's on a first base name, first name
yes,
basis
I
with
mean,
him like she is.
when we walked in, it was one of those things you just got this feeling, oh my gosh, and it was beautiful. And the next day we got up because we were up early because of time change, whatever. We walked along the path going, I can't explain it. It's absolutely amazing. And you've got to experience it to really believe how beautiful it is.
Well, and I don't think that this resort gets enough Disney love. I think that there's some like misconceptions of what it is and why would I want to go and be in
So,
Hawaii and do
Katie,
the
do you
Disney
hear from people, there's no rides, there's no Disney's this, there's no Disney that. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but here's the thing that it is. It is absolutely so good. So good,
Yes.
in fact, that my
Yes.
husband was like, I don't know. He's like, this might be one of our places that we just go back to.
It's not your overt Disney World or Disneyland,
No.
but is the magic of the origin of Hawaii and the people there that make
I
it
think that
magical for you.
I think that if you're going with the idea that like you want to like experience the thrill of attractions and everything like that, then no, you're
No,
not going to
right.
get that. But what you are going to get is the feeling that you get when you do a Disney trip where you're like, they care about my memories. Just
Yes.
like us, right? As travel advisors, like you book a trip with Matt, you book a trip with Maureen, you book a trip with me. And guess what? You're not a number. We are going to remember the things that are important to you. We are going to make you feel like you are the most important person because you are. Your memories are priceless to us. And this resort is that feeling, the feeling of knowing that you walk down out of the lobby and you pass by the front desk and they say, hello, Mrs. Cowden, how are you today? How was your trip? What can we do to make your trip better? Let us tell you this story, or let us share this tip with you, or oh, isn't your daughter so beautiful? Is she having a good time? Is there something we can do to make it better? What can we do for you? That is this trip. This is the Disney trip of the reasons why you keep going back to Disney time and time again. It's not the attractions. It's not
the people.
Things. It's the cast members.
It's the cast members. And when we went and we would say, how do you say this word? What does that mean to you? And they were so excited to share that with us. And it just made it that much more special that they wanted to share what they had with us and what they felt and what they believed. I mean, I'll go back to Aulani every time, anytime.
And that's a general theme for those who travel abroad or to a place that has a different culture, that people want to share their culture with you. And just think, whenever you have guests to come in from out of town, oh, I got to take you here to this awesome place in my city, and I got to take you to this other place, and I want you to experience all the awesome things that we have. And that's what it's the same thing elsewhere. The people are proud of where they're from, and they want to share that. They want you to see how awesome their place is.
It's that pride. And it's so evident in Aulani. It's so evident.
Well, and it's not like they're not dialing it in. They really do care. They do. They want you to feel at home, but they also want you to understand why the things that they love are important to them. And there's something to be said about the fact that, yes, you are welcomed with open arms, but whenever you visit somewhere, or I know like when you first start dating somebody and you get invited over to Thanksgiving dinner, right? And you get to share in that one dish, the one dish that is the family's favorite dish that shows up on that table every single year. And there's a story about it. The reason why that recipe is done that way, the reason why there's little tiny changes in that recipe. And then all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, I can see myself being a part of this, because they want me to be a part of it. And then you start taking it becomes a part of who you are. I know that this sounds like we're like, oh, Katie, this is just a resort. No, it's not. It becomes a part.
It's a family. Ohana.
Yes.
It's definitely Ohana. Every part of Aulani is Ohana.
So welcome home. And when you have that family, it is a true welcome home. It's not just a tagline that Disney uses. It is home. They're welcoming you there as, this is our home. Welcome to it. And hopefully you like it enough, you'll come back and make it your kind of second home, which I think it rubbed off on Katie and Maureen. So it's working. By the way, they are wearing their theme. They're dressed in theme. You can't see it. We will get the pictures of this and we'll post that on the YouTube channel. But they have their ears on, their Aulani ears. Maureen has her lei on and a shirt, and Katie's channeling her Disney stuff that she has her Alaskan sweatshirt from her cruise. So
yeah, well, we got to give some love to those two states that are just the best to go travel to. So
the non-contiguous ones, exactly.
Yes, that's right. That was the word I was looking for. I was hoping you'd bail me out there. One of you would.
So we've talked about the service. Did you get other stuff there too, beyond just being treated like royalty like you do at Disney? That they do have the Disney Photo Pass. So if you don't need to have your camera there all the time, that if you get a Photo Pass package, that they're going to have their photographers documenting it for you. So it's just one less thing to worry about of, am I getting this perfect shot of us? Or, hey, can I get this passerby to take this picture and it's kind of crooked and I'm, my head's cropped off and things like that. You're going to get the Disney photographers to do it, and with their high quality cameras. They also have grocery delivery. There's transportation that can be arranged both to the and from the airport and around town. Wi-Fi is included. There's also a place you can do laundry. There's a concierge desk to help you make arrangements around the island. There is bell service, of course, and an ATM. Some of those are standard things you expect, but you're getting some extra things in there. And the Wi-Fi being included is always nice. And now getting into part of what you expect from Disney is entertainment. So is it the daily Iwa is how you pronounce it? That is
Mhm.
it's a daily resort schedule that you can get in, so you know everything that's going on. And Katie, what do you want to add about that?
So they have an app. You can, as soon as you book your trip with us, go ahead and give you a confirmation number, kind of running you through the app and how it works. You can make reservations there. You can also see daily schedules. As when you're there, the things like when the characters are going to appear, when the stargazing is going to happen, when there's a painting class, all of those things are on the app. You can make reservations for activities and things like that. But the great thing too is that some of the activities, like the make your own mini Mickey ears that my daughter and I did. This is one of the only places that you can do this at. You get to make your own custom ears. You go in and they have all of these things to choose from, and you get to make them and take them home with you. You make a reservation via the app before you travel, and then they call you a couple of days before, and they say, hey, that we want to make sure we remind you of this. This is how you get here. This is what it will be expected, what you can expect, and everything like that. And it kind of just starts the process. You're actually talking to a Disney cast member who is happy to answer any questions that that you might have. And a good little reminder of what's going to be happening and everything like that. So kind of a cool way to do things, especially if you're used to the Disney Cruise app, if you're used to My Disney Experience apps and things like that. This one is a little bit slightly different, but still has that same feel to it. That I think that the nice thing about it is that it is not so intense. It's not so big. So you're not like with your phone the whole time up to your face at the resort, but it's kind of like your little, dare I say, like Jiminy Cricket. He's like there just to remind you like of what you could be doing and maybe what you should be doing, but isn't like in your face going, this is what you need to do right now, right now. So
Right. It's like and more like a calendar of things that are available to you, but it's not like you feel like you have to be on it all the time.
So one of the big things is, and this is probably like better shared with other people, but I'm like an over planner. So like I have been accused of the fact that if you travel with me, we're doing it all. I'm going to check things off the list. On Disney cruises, I'm trying to figure out how I can be in 3 different places at one time because I want to do all of the things. And my husband was like, this trip, we are not doing all of the things. And it's kind of nice because there's not all of the things to do, but there's enough of the best things to do that you get that mix of relaxation, but still that mix of, I experienced this that is just what only Disney could have offered me this. So I didn't feel like overextended or anything like that when I was there. I felt like I got a good mix of like an activities that I wanted to do and activities my daughter wanted to do, things my husband wanted to go and see and do, with another mix of just relax and just take it easy and enjoy everything that's there.
I think I mean, because we were 3 adults, so it's a little bit different. We don't have any kiddos. It was easy to kind of say, okay, we want to do this. We don't do this, so that's okay. But you can do it ahead of time, or you can wait and see what's available when you're there. That's okay too.
Well, and I think that that's one of the reasons why you definitely want to like book your trip with us is because like Matt's going to say to you, hey, these are the things that are available. What do you think that you would like to do? I have vetted these. I know these things. Maureen's going to be like, these are the restaurants that you cannot miss. These are the dishes that you are going to want to order. And I'm going to be like, yep, make sure you pack your sunscreen and you need to make, because Hawaii is beautiful and it's the best temperature and you can get sunburned like not even knowing it, instead of like at those Caribbean islands where you're like, you know that you're like sweating, so you're like, I'm gonna get burnt. Hawaii is kind of tricky. Like you're gonna get burnt and not
You
even
don't
know
think
it.
you're getting burned because it's really nice and relaxing and very
Nice.
cool.
Yes. So it is very important to use a travel advisor when you are booking a trip like this because we know these things and we care about making sure that you know these things too. Without the work, without the effort, without the like constant Googling and like the, oh my gosh, what do you think of this? And oh, I don't know. And so many different opinions and everything like that. We're going to give you what we know and what you can trust.
I just recently booked a cruise that whenever this airs, they'll be just getting back that first time cruisers and talked to a client and I've known her for, oh geez, near 20 years. It's like, all right, I've never done this. What do we do on a cruise? I've seen this on movies and I've seen that on movies. Okay, we have, here's our kids. They want to do this. What are the options? And it was running down. Okay, here's this. This will be perfect for them. Here's this thing. Probably too old for this. You don't necessarily want to do that. And as Katie says, we can take what you want and find the perfect things that'll fit your likes and avoid the things that will be in your dislikes. And something Katie said before of things that you can only get at Disney. And one of those examples is the Mo'olelo fire pit storytelling, that in the evening they have the fire pit set up and they have one of their storytellers who is talking about Hawaii and different legends and whatever. And I've seen these on YouTube and so captivating and it just pulls you in that
It's either uncle
that
or auntie,
yes, and it's again
and
Ohana.
they're amazing.
We had uncle, and like I want you to like
We had
kind of.
uncle too, and I mean, we're all adults, and we loved it.
It makes me want to cry. I get a little teary-eyed thinking about it because I want you to picture this. And Maureen, help me out to help just set the scene. So you are down near the beach. It is kind of an intimate setting with a fire pit that is just kind of like blazing, but it's like a comforting like blaze. And if you look up, the stars are just the brightest, prettiest, most gorgeous stars. And then you find your seat and you sit down and there's a little bit of chatter and their kids are they've had a big day and they're talking about all the things they've experienced and families are like reliving their memories of what they did and all of that. And then uncle comes in and he tells the story and you can hear a pin drop.
Yes.
It is so quiet.
Everyone's silence, right? And everybody is so engrossed in what he is saying. Even the adults.
And it's the story, a story of the culture. Again, a story that has been passed down from generation to generation to generation. And the way that he tells the story, you can't help but like be on the edge of your seat. And like it reminds me of when I was a child and you had that kindergarten teacher, right? That you just absolutely adored. And she could tell a story and or, a teacher in the fourth grade, or just that teacher that you have that you remember her telling him or her telling that story. And you haven't heard that story before, but you're just so excited and it plays back in your head over and over and over again.
Okay, so we were there with our daughter who is a second grade teacher. And she was totally immersed in this whole thing. This uncle who was telling a story about his history. It's amazing. You can't, there's no words to describe how you feel about it.
No, it's just that good. And that's why every time you go, you have to get there 15.
Yes.
I mean, we were in the slow season, Matt. So we were there like after the kids had gone back to school and everything like that. And there was not, if you didn't get there 20 minutes, we missed it the first night and there wasn't space there. I mean, they have seats around, they have lots and lots of seats around and they were all full and they were like, come and stand on the ledge. And that was all full. So we had to come back around the next day for the later telling of this story because there are so many people and it ripples through. You hear it during the day. You hear, have you done this? Have you gone to the fire pit storytelling? Have you heard the story? Have you gone? And it becomes like this kind of like, I don't want to say secret thing because they're very open about it, but there's people that go back time and time again because it's so good. It is just so, so good.
If you want to get a mental image of what this looks like, if you've ever seen The Lord of the Rings, so the Fellowship of the Ring, the original one, that in the beginning of that movie, Bilbo Baggins is telling a story to a bunch of little hobbit kids, and they are sitting and completely engrossed in everything he has to say. That I just keep picturing that of, looking with this wide-eyed wonder of, and, mouths open of what's going to happen next. And then they hit a big thing of, oh, and the dragon came. It's like, and you hear everyone gasp at once. And it's the same type of thing that just everyone is just so involved in the story that he's telling that, as you said, you can hear a pin drop and it's just completely captivated. So, other things you can do, the Disney Fun Animation. So we can learn to draw a Disney character. And now they have this at the parks, that at the animation building in Hollywoodland at Disney California Adventure, out in Disneyland Resort, and at Rafiki's Planet Watch in the Asia part of Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park in Walt Disney World Resort. You can do that. And I have no artistic ability whatsoever. My sister got all that in my family. She's an architect and, does interior design and all that. But, she took it all from me. But I actually got to draw several characters especially when I was in Disneyland. I did like several times because I wanted to get a couple different characters, and I actually drew things that looked like the characters, and I was so happy with myself. So they have awesome teachers there that you don't need any artistic ability. That you can actually draw something good and unleash your inner talent. So maybe I might become a Disney artist someday. Okay, maybe
We
not.
got to draw Minnie Mouse when we were there. So we did Ava and I, my daughter Ava and I, we did Minnie Mouse when we were there with a big group of people. It was like later in the evening, so around 8ish. And we drew Minnie Mouse, and it was really cool because the cast member was actually, she just lives like 10 minutes away from me. So we got to talk about home for her, Utah. And she was telling us about how Hawaii has become her home and how she was did the college program and then got hired, and this is her home. So really cool experience. Totally neat.
Other things they offer are live Hawaiian music, and it can vary from contemporary jazz to Hawaiian classic island songs.
So if you in the evening go to Olelo Room, there's a Lolelu, and outside they have live music. It's very family friendly. They got great appetizers, but it's so much fun just to sit there, and they just have this, it's very authentic island music. It's great. And you just sit there in the evening, and it's beautiful, and you've got yeah. It's amazing. We did that almost every night. We were there.
Us too. We were there every night.
Right? Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful.
We were there every night, partly because it was so beautiful, partly because the koi ponds are amazing.
Yes, the koi ponds were amazing. Yes.
And partly because the au gratin potatoes.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the Kalua au gratin
are like, in fact, my daughter.
That was our favorite thing ever, and we want to duplicate it wherever we go.
I know. My daughter just asked. She's like, "Where can we find that recipe, and how can we make that happen?"
Okay, I just looked at that to make sure it was still on there for when we go in 2026. Because my daughter's like, "We have to have that again." I was like, "I know. We might have had it more than one time, maybe.
Well,
I don't know."
We were supposed to share it, but Maureen, I reached over to get some, and I was afraid I was going to lose an arm with my teenager. She was like, the next time we went back the next day, I had to order my own because I was like,
it's so good. Oh my gosh.
So please share.
That's right.
Or order your own.
You're traveling with a hungry teenager, order your own. So.
It's a Kalua pork gratin dip that you use with dips to go into. Oh my god.
Bread, like a pita naan bread.
Yeah, it's a pita naan. It's a naan bread, but it's a gratin, but it's a Kalua pork gratin. It's incredible.
You got to have it though. It's like
Yep.
amazing.
I think we might have had it more than one time, like maybe like almost every night. I don't know.
We
Could
ordered
have.
it. We were there 3
Yeah.
nights and we ordered it 3 times. And yeah, it was that good. It was that
Yeah, we
good.
And
might
on
have.
the second day, they ordered it 4
In
times.
fact,
Oh,
I was
sorry.
just looking to make sure it was still on the menu because my daughter said, if we go next year in 2026 or whatever, okay, 2026, is it going to be there? I said, we will ask for it because we all loved it. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, so Aulani executives who are listening to this, make sure it's on the menu. Don't take it off because it's really,
Right?
really good, and it'll be it's a crime against humanity if you do.
And
Yeah.
as we go down further along and we talk about the restaurants and stuff like that, we will talk about the Aulani Olelu. Is that right?
Layla Room, which is amazing.
Olelu. Yes, we'll talk about it because it is something like this. This restaurant is just. I mean, it's just such a cool place. It's so
It's so
cool.
special.
Yes.
Everybody, and that's where I learned so many words from Hawaiian.
Yes, it's really cool. Really
It's so
cool.
cool. So cool.
Okay. Sorry, Matt. We
Sorry,
digress.
Matt. Go ahead. Go on, Matt. You could do it. Matt, you have control now. It's okay.
We never go off on tangents on this podcast normally.
Did we not warn you about this before?
No, we always go on tangents. Tangents are fun. You get the side story in there. That's some of the best stuff. Side comments, it's great. Breaks things up. It's giving you a little preview of future things to come. So, but having the music right outside of the Olela room, it just sounds like Hawaii when you're there. That it's that music that whenever the stereotypical stuff that you see in movies or whatever, this is Hawaii. And speaking of the sound of Hawaii, you can take lessons to learn to play a ukulele. Or if you already know, just dive on right in.
Can I say that we did ukulele lessons and it was so much fun. We
There's no
had
judgment, right? Like it's just fun. Like
it's just fun, right? Yeah.
And I have no musical talent either, but my now here's the thing that my dad's dad, so my paternal grandfather, he supposedly was an amazing, amazing musician. There was just something that was with his whole immediate family. They could all play. And I remember him sitting on the couch playing a guitar with a butter knife one time. So why a butter knife? I don't know. Made sense at the time, right? But yeah, that did not come down to me. But still, the sound of it. I'm not a musician, but I am a very much a music appreciator. The good music, there's nothing that can beat that. Now, I also can't dance, but they have the Ohana Hulu dancing lessons, or it's dancing, so you can take lessons. That one time when we were in Disney, this was Walt Disney World, this was, geez, late 80s, early 90s, back when they had the luau at the Polynesian. That they were up there, and I got up, and we have pictures of me with some of them trying to do a hula. So,
well, see, now you can go and you'll have already had experience. So it won't be your first time trying a hula.
I'll be a natural, right?
That's right. It's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to hula, you never forget.
Although the hula actually is more than just the dance, that it is storytelling through the form of dance, that the different dance moves are telling a story. And I remember the one thing was they kind of put both their fists over each other, and I'm showing for those watching on the simulcast, and then they put their pinky and their thumb out, and it was supposed to be a turtle that is the your fist is the shell of the turtle, and then the figure sticking out is kind of like the head and the tail and whatever. So it is an interesting thing that you can watch. It's a story being told during the dance. It's not just a dance. So amazing stuff. Since it is a DVC property, they have a community hall, which they have at most of the Disney Vacation Club properties. And this one's is it Pauhana room?
Right. It means in Hawaiian, it means end of a long day. So it would be a place where you would go. It's not just for DVC members, but it's just kind of a place that you would go and gather after a long day. and they have all kinds of activities in there.
Yeah, the
You
games,
can also
crafts.
like check out videos to watch on when you go back to the room if you want to. So you can check
So
out
for the kids
videos
watching, these are
and
things called
what movies if you
DVDs,
want to do that too.
physical
So
media.
the
Okay,
staff
DVD, fine, whatever. I'm a little older than that, but yes, movies.
No, but we've done that too. That one time we were at I think it was whenever we stayed at Saratoga Springs, that we, it was one evening that we came home from the parks. They closed a little bit earlier. I guess it might have been Mickey's
Right.
Very Merry
Yeah.
Christmas party or something. It was an early night, and we got some DVDs and we just watched them in the room. And
Right. And so you can do the same thing. You can check them out and you can go back and look. I mean, even those of us, my husband and I travel, just the two of us, so we don't have the kids with us. But you can go back and take a movie and just watch a movie. Yeah, exactly.
that's what happened. It was before we had
Okay.
kids. It was just my wife and I.
FYI, Aulani is not just for kids, it is for adults too. Just telling you.
The staff, the cast members at the community hall are just so accommodating too.
Yes. Yes.
We did, like I mentioned, we did the make your own Mickey ears, and so in the morning before for the actual craft time, they asked us to come and pick out all of the little accessories that we wanted on our Mickey ears and make a decision. And then we went back later in the day for the class, and they have the glue guns ready. They have examples. They're there to help you and answer questions. They do paint classes there. So if you've ever wanted to paint a beautiful beach scene, they have that available. They have a lot of different activities. They had stamping of t-shirts, lots of things that you can do as an activity with your family, with your, like if you were doing a girls trip, it would be such a fun thing to do one of these activities all together. If you're doing it with your children, if you're doing it with your spouse, whoever you're doing it with, and you're paying to do this activity, but you're bringing home like a souvenir that has the Hawaiian touch and you made it as well. Such a cool thing.
And it doesn't have to be just kids, because there's a lot of us who travel, just adults or adult families, and this applies the same thing. So yes, you're right. I mean, there's so many things you can do with these activities with adults as well.
There were so many, at least when we were traveling, there were tons and tons of couples that were doing their baby moon. So they were getting ready to start a brand new chapter of their life. Like everything changes, and it's such a good change. There's so many things, and they were making memories together. And it was so cute. There was one little couple that she was making these mini ears, and she's like, I'm going to tell, and I didn't catch the baby to be's name or anything, but just, I'm going to tell them that I was here with them and I made these ears. And it was just really a cool thing. Like they were together. There were lots of honeymooners. There were tons of, so I have this little goal in my life that I want to be that, my husband and we want to be that couple that are strolling down Main Street with our gray hair and our walkers and our little canes, holding hands. And there were so
Katie, that's my husband and I, but without the walkers and the canes.
You're not there yet, Maureen. But there's such a there were so many older couples
love
there
that.
too.
I mean, we love Aulani and we love what they offer, and it's so much, not just for families with young children, but older adults and extended families. There's so much to offer them.
Oh, this is one of those trips that grandma and grandpa are like, hey, we want to get together. We want to do this trip. Where do we want to go? This is one that you get with Matt and you say, Matt, help me to talk grandma and grandpa into it. And it won't be a tough sell because Matt will be able to sell it like nobody's business.
Right.
Maureen, tell me why as grandparents, why would we want to take everybody there? And then a bachelorette party, a bachelorette trip.
That too, yes.
Gosh, would that not be the best? I would wear the ugly dress. If you're gonna make
so go
party there,
I would so go. Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
I don't care how ugly it is. I will wear that thing knowing that I have the memories of that trip that we took all together, right?
Okay, so Matt, where are we going from here?
Well, I hate to disappoint you with my sidetrack, but I'm never going to be part of that old couple with gray hair walking down Main Street.
Well, neither is my
So,
husband. There's no hair to be had, so I'll do the
okay.
gray.
Okay, no, guys, I think I've got you all beat. The two of us. No, yeah, no.
No, just because there's not a whole lot of hair on top. So the gray is just, that's one good thing about going bald is you're never going to go gray.
This is true.
So our next stop is probably the most popular, most famous, the place to be. It's Auntie's Beach House. Now, this is primarily for kids ages 4 to 12 with activities and games and arts and crafts. And it's all this stuff is designed to highlight the culture and art and music of Hawaii. So while the kids are going to do all this stuff and have these great memories and do these cool things and, have this great experience with, other kids their age and also with the cast members who are helping them along, but they're also going to learn something. And that's the things they're going to take home is these memories of the culture of Hawaii and how they were just infused into what they were doing. And who knows, maybe start a new love of something in them.
And there was a line every time that they were opening the doors that was like wrapped around the corner. They also do a really good job there at Auntie's Beach House. On select nights, they have activities for kids, teenagers, so 13 to 17. So for like my family, we travel, and my daughter is the youngest, and her brother is an adult now, and so she's kind of an only child kind of a situation, and so she doesn't have a built-in buddy or anything like that. And she went to one of the activities one of the nights, and then the next day she was like, hey, me and so we're going to go hang out at the lazy river, are you okay with that? And I was like, that is so great. Like, it's so nice that she found a buddy to hang out with and do things, because yes, it's all about family memories and stuff like that. But also there's something to be said about letting your kids experience like and make friends in different places and do things that they want to do, especially teenagers. They need a little chance to like spread their wings a little, do a little bit on their own. And it was great. She made friends at this activity. They did karaoke and they did a game night. It was really fun, like for teens too. So younger kids definitely, and then on select nights, teenagers can go into Auntie's beach house as well.
I
And
think
while
it's
they
really cool that you can do that in a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, my kids are older. I mean, okay, I have adult children, let's face it. So the fact that you can do that and have a safe place for your teens, it's amazing. And I think
Really,
that speaks a lot to Disney and to Aulani, because you want them to be able to do something on their own, but still be part of the family. I think that's great that you feel comfortable with them. Yes.
And that's with any teenager that they need their alone time. And as many parents,
Yes.
you also need your
Yes.
alone time. And
well,
so,
and I'm sorry, there was a lot of like 6, 7 year olds that they weren't gone the whole time. It's similar to a Disney cruise where you want them to go and hang out in the kids club and do some things and do some stuff, and then you can go and relax and do what you want to do for an hour or so, and then come back together and tell the stories of what you've done and what you've experienced. And there was a lot of like families with younger kids that they weren't gone the whole time, but they were there enough that mom could take a breath and breathe again. Dad could like actually go to the adult section of the pool and like relax and not have to be like running around like crazy. Such a nice thing that Disney offers. So lovely.
So I think that's really great because, yeah, it does give you a chance to be on your own with your partner, but the kids can have a chance to be with their friends as well. I think it's great.
I think that makes a big point, and a really good point, that while vacations are primarily about embarrassing your kids, it's not solely about embarrassing your kids.
No, it's also about embarrassing your spouse
Oh,
by
I like
like
Okay,
playing that too.
there's that as well. Yes.
by tracking down all the Disney characters and like acting like you're a toddler, like having to have your picture taken with all of them as you check them off your list. So we won't be
But Katie,
discussing who did that, but I have the photographic evidence to prove that I got all of them. So,
did you also get their autographs?
you know what? I didn't do the autograph thing this time because I did the autograph thing. I bought a Stanley Cup and did the Stanley Cup autograph thing on my Alaskan cruise, and I haven't used
The
it.
Stanley Cup autograph? That's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yes. So plain old Stanley Cup, bring a Sharpie, have the characters sign it. Then you come home with and this cup was like, I had our room steward sign it and like our waiters sign it. And one of the cute little staff members that I always ran into, I asked for their autograph too, because they're part of my like story of like my amazing Alaskan cruise. Right. And so I wanted all of their signatures on it. So I didn't get my signatures in Hawaii. I just did pictures this time, but I'm sure I'll go back. And one of the cool things that they had at the ABC store. So that's like a little, if you're not familiar with Hawaii, they have these, they call them the ABC stores, and they're in other places too, but they're kind of like a convenience store, kind of mixed with.
Okay, yeah, that was on my list of things to talk about. The ABC store across the street.
Yeah.
They're
How would
amazing.
you
I love
describe
it.
it? Like it's kind of like a convenience store
Like a
mixed,
7-Eleven, but
yeah,
yeah,
mixed with like a souvenir shop, kind of a blend.
yes.
And over in the ABC,
7-Eleven on steroids.
yes, yeah. Like over in the ABC store, they had these like wooden plaques kind of a thing, and they sold them with the date on them, and then they had a Sharpie pen with them. And so a lot of the kids, when they were standing in line to get the autographs of the characters, that's what they were having them sign. So it was they were having them sign like a surfboard or a turtle or something like that that they had purchased across the street and then brought it back in, and the characters were more than happy to sign it.
That's a great keepsake. That's something you actually display in your room, and it's a neat little
Mhm.
decoration, but then it has the significance of the memories with the signatures attached to it.
So I'm all about like I love getting autographs and things like that. When my daughter was little, her first trip to Disney, her first Disney trip was when she was just almost 6 months old. So yes, we have like she's lived, breathed, and done it. And my son was the same way, very young. But with my daughter, we bought her a storybook with all the Disney characters in it, and she has collected their signatures. She's brought that book back year after year after year after year on these Disney trips and had the different characters sign it. So those stories are there. It's practical. It's a book that I've sat down and read to her numerous times growing up. And then it also has the memories of the trip. So if you're gonna do autographs, just like an extra little tip, if you're doing character autographs, make it something that like has some kind of meaning to it. Those autograph books are great. They're nice, but if you can have a storybook, a cup, a picture frame, a a a plaque, something that they can like have and display that you can come back to time and time again and talk about that trip is really, really cool. It's not like an autograph book that necessarily gets stuck in the back corner on a shelf somewhere that you never really think about again.
I have a lot
And
of my
this is
guests that like the storybooks too. They can do that, so they can look back at the storybooks and yes, it's different than autograph. Storybooks are really cool.
Yeah.
and this is why you book with Katie, because she gives you these cool ideas of how to make your trip even that much more memorable and special.
Well, and I would say that it goes across the board with all of us, right? We have something like we have that extra little something to share with you that makes your trip just a little bit better that you're not going to find anywhere else. But like, yeah, because we've done it and we've seen it and we know,
And
and we're happy to do it.
it won't cost you anything extra.
Nope,
So
it's
we
all
actually have
compliment.
we actually have a storybook that I bought for my niece in Disney one time. It was for her Christmas present. And then now she's, let's see, just make sure I have the right one, because I have two nieces. One just got her driver's license, and then the other one is eighth grade. So, she's outgrown it. That we got then passed back to my little girl, and So I think it's a really neat thing that it has it's a Disney princess book that there's little short stories about each of the princesses. And so if you would take that and have the princesses sign on the page where it's their story. So that whenever you open up their story, you would see their signature right there.
So cool, right?
So probably the next best thing to Auntie's Beach House is the Ohana Disney Movie Night. It's on the Hawai'i lawn, and so it's kind of like what they have at Disney resorts in Walt Disney World. Is that they will show a movie in the evening on an inflatable screen that and you get to sit out under the stars and watch a movie. Often, for some of them, it's like right on the beach or it's on a little grassy area. Sometimes they'll have little s'mores kits that you can do and roast marshmallows, and it's just a really nice atmosphere. And it's a really nice way to wind down the night, and it really is a good place to make those memories. I remember sitting, going to the drive-in with my parents and seeing movies, or the movie nights when we'd be sitting on the couch, but being in Aulani, watching a Disney movie outside under the stars. I mean, this is where the magic is made. Other places, if you want a little bit of an educational bit with your trip, is the Maka Ikai nature tours. And it's a guided tour that you'll learn about the birds and the aquaculture and the geology. And you also get to learn a bit about how Alani's design celebrates the natural beauty and the wildlife of the island. And so it just ties everything together of, okay, now here's these birds here, and then this is this little design aspect here that's supposed to, kind of mimic them or draw attention to it and things like that.
So the resort is set up and it has a feminine side and a masculine side. And so it's set kind of in a U shape. It's meant to be like a valley with in the center, and the towers are meant to be the mountains. And there's a masculine and a feminine side. So depending on which side you stay on, you'll either have a bird that is on your door, or you'll have a fish on your door. And there's this part, like if you really get down to like the really small minute details of the resort, you'll see like the masculine side has very sharp corners and defined, and then the feminine side has more flowy, and then they meet in the center, and the center is the lobby, and it meets in the center, and you learn these things. So there's a nature tour, and there's also an arts tour, kind of an arts and architecture tour. So they'll take you around and tell you about all of the stories about why the big plank that is sitting outside overlooking the lobby, when the sun goes down, it gets the light changes this, and you can see the mountains that are carved into this big beam that is sitting as part of the resort. It's really cool. And then the nature tour. I don't know, Maureen, did you do the nature tour? We did it.
We did not, because we were looking at different tours, and we didn't do that one.
So we did the nature tour, and it is all about how they are very, very select with what they plant there. They don't pick things that are not part of what you would see in Hawaii. Their big thing is about Aulani is the fact that there's several different resorts. There's the Ritz-Carlton, there is the Four Seasons. They all are along this bay, different lagoons. Each resort has a lagoon. And you will notice, and there's nothing wrong about these resorts, but they're white and they're stark, and they're very much so, they scream opulence. They are very beautiful, but this resort, Disney, it just blends. It blends in. It doesn't. It's like you're like, Matt. You probably have a favorite pair of tennis shoes that like you put them on and they just feel right. I have a favorite dress that if I'm going to go somewhere and do something and I'm trying to impress, I'm going to put this dress on because I know that it's going to make me feel good and I can be comfortable in it. And it's not ostentatious, but it's just perfect. And it seems to fit perfect. That is what this resort is. It's perfect. It just fits. And the colors, the browns, the greens, the flora, the fauna, they're all very deliberate. They're picked because of what they represent. And the reason that they are there is because that is part of what you will find in Hawaii. And so when you go on this tour, they'll tell you all of these things. They'll also tell you that in the morning, if you're quiet, you will see mongooses. And like we saw mongooses and it was so cute. We were like, we saw a mongoose. And this girl, one of the cast members was like, do you understand? Those are like pigeons to us. They're not, it's not a big deal. They're just she's like, I'm so happy you were excited to see a mongoose, but we see those like everywhere, every day. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, we saw a mongoose. We also saw a seal hanging out in one of the coves down further. He was just like bobbing along, swimming. It was so cool. It was early in the morning. There was nobody around, and it was just us. And I named him Samuel, the seal, that were just hanging out, and he was just swimming back and forth, just kind of relaxing. So something you can see.
And the look on Katie's face as she's describing this, that her grin is from ear to ear. And so
it really
she's a
was a good
wonderful
trip. It was so good. Oh, and it makes me happy to talk about it again and share it with people. Because like just like Maureen's like, I want people to know about this. Like I asked her, I was like, tell me about this trip. I'm going. Tell me all of your secrets. And she shared all of these great, fantastic things with me. And I was like, oh, she loves it. And then she's like, and you are going to love it too. And Matt, you will love it too because you're going to go. We're going to force you.
And
We'll
yes,
Yeah.
you will love it because yes, you will love it. You can't explain it. It's just amazing.
being forced to go to Hawaii. It's like the time I was forced to go on a European vacation with my sister. I mean,
we
some
suffer.
things you just do. Yeah, I know. Now, one of the most special places that you're going to at Aulani in to make your kids just go over the top is Painted Sky, and that's called the High Style Studio. So HI, capital H, capital I. So postal abbreviation for Hawaii. So wonderful little tidbit there. And it's basically the Hawaiian Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And it's for kids ages 3 to 12. They get their makeover, and rather than become a princess along the lines of, Elsa or Snow White or Cinderella, it's going to have Hawaiian themes. So if you want to become Moana-ish, it's where you got to go. And having seen that so often in the Disney parks and the reactions of little kids, both boys or girls, whenever they go through this, just to be transformed into some of their favorite characters, that doing this in Hawaii, and it's like, okay, you have your beautiful dress on. Please don't just jump in the pool and do it. Enjoy it for a minute, please.
So many parents were doing it on the night that they were doing the luau. So they'd make the reservation and then they'd take and do that. And then they would make the luau even a little bit more special by dressing up for it.
Now that will cost an extra fee that whenever you book that, and meeting some of the characters, those will also cost a fee depending on where you go. So a lot of these are at, the ones we're going to talk about now are at Auntie's Beach House. There's the Kakamora Chaos with Moana. And Moana Chaos, they kind of go hand in hand. We just watched that last week with my little girl, so I'm all into the Moana lore. And it's you play traditional Hawaiian games with Moana. I mean, you've seen reactions of little kids whenever they meet their favorite characters and meeting Moana in a park or something like that. But to have her play games with you, I mean, that's going to, goes over the top. They also have the Surfs Up, a surfing, fishing, and dancing party. Again, there's a fee for this, but you get to do surfing games with Chip and Dale. You can learn about native Hawaiian fish from Goofy, and you can dance with some of your favorite Disney pals. It wasn't too specific on which ones they were. But Goofy with the how-to Goofy videos from, back in the 40s and 50s, those are some of the greatest pieces of cartoon art, if you want to call it that I've ever seen. That the comedic genius of the producers for that and the directors and the artists, that those are just so great. So learn about tropical fish from Goofy. Why not? There's another one called Becoming Sea Creatures, where you can learn all about sea creatures with Olu Mel, who is a turtle from Duffy and Friends. So especially if you have younger kids who are still into that.
And he is the official kind of mascot of Aulani. So if you're buying merchandise or anything like that, you will see this cute little green turtle in a lot of things. He's darling, and for his like character meet and greet, it wraps around. I think that's the longest line we stood in. So.
And then something that is included in the stay at the resort, so no extra fee for this, is the Menehune Adventure Trails. In Menehune, it's basically the Hawaiian version of a leprechaun or a gnome. They're little mischievous creatures that, sometimes cause trouble. But I love the Menehune. They're mainly because in Disney years ago at the Polynesian, they had the Minnie's Mini Hoonie character breakfast. So this is before Stitch joined that. But every time we were on the monorail, they would announce it. And I always loved hearing that. It's just the Minnie's Mini Hoonie character breakfast.
So they're all over. They're in the elevators. They're hidden in little tiny little spots. These carvings of these little like mischievous little guys, and they're everywhere. I can't remember how many are hidden throughout the resort, but you'll find one. There's one that was in the elevator that was perched up on top of it, kind of looking down at us. They're everywhere, and they're kind of fun because you can tell you'll hear little kids talking about them, and then you'll also hear the adults talking about them too, saying, well, the Menehune must have gotten to us, or they must have done this or whatever. So it's kind of cool.
And with the Menehune Adventure Trails, it's an interactive treasure hunt, basically. And you get to solve riddles to figure out what's going on. And it's designed for preteens, mainly because younger kids might not be able to solve the riddles, but with parental help, and depending on how clever your kids are, that they might not get it, but then they might be able to come up with it yourself. But then if you would tell them, oh, it's this, then you're like, oh.
We did this with us because we're all adults, and we earned little kaya nuts to form a keychain. So every part of the trail we did, we earned this part, and we got back, we got nailed up, we could put it together, we got a keychain. So we all got this keychain. It was really cool. So the lays that were part of this nut are part of a symbol of enlightenment, protection, and guidance and peace. It was really cool, and it was free. Yes, it's great.
And it is kind of a fun, like I did it with my teenager, and she's kind of, I don't know, I don't really want to. It kind of has a similar thing to like some of the like Kim Possible missions
right. Yeah.
to do
yeah.
things like that.
Kind of like on the ship when you're doing on the cruise ship, when you're doing your things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
They give you a tablet and you go around, but as you're doing it, you're kind of learning something cultural about and the different missions and things like that. And then there's different interactive parts that happen when you're standing in a certain spot. And there's one, this is a spoiler, there's one that you get to a spot and you can put off the water cannons into the lazy river. So my daughter had figured it out how it worked and waited until the cute ladies that don't want to get their hair wet, they're just in the lazy river to just relax and stuff like that. She waited until they came by and then shot the water cannons off at them. And they didn't know where it was coming from because they're just like random. It's really cool. It's so neat, so much fun. They gave Ava a sticker for finishing it off. Like a little roll of stickers was what her prize was, and she has on her water bottle for swim. Because it's something that was really a fun little thing that you can do. You don't have to do it all in one. You can take little bits and pieces. They allow you to check out the tablet and bring it back and do it another time. And you can do it throughout your whole thing. And there's several different missions and they all come together. But it's really kind of a fun little like bonding thing. Adults, totally. We saw so many adults doing it, and just the group couples that were doing it. And it was fun to watch, like the couples asking like some of the younger kids that were in different families, hey, how did you get this to work? Or did you do this one? And did you do that one? And have you seen this? It was really fun. It was neat. And a great way to get your like bearings around the resort and kind of see what is available and kind of get a good view of what's around and learn a little Hawaiian culture while you're doing it.
And that's one thing that I recommend no matter where you're at is to take a walk, just to see your resort, see the surroundings, get your bearings. And if you're on a cruise ship, walk around, see where things are, just so you have an idea of what they have to offer, where is it, things along those lines of you might discover something you didn't know existed. And it's like, oh, it becomes your favorite of your trip. And the tablet that Katie mentioned, it's at the Pauhana Community Hall. You can get these tablets again for free that you can then use to do the scavenger hunt. And from knowing what I know about Ava, I can totally picture her being the water cannon person. I mean, this
She's
is
her own little Menehune. She's my own little Menehune. I love her though. She's the best. She's just a little bit of a Menehune.
and this is the one who was on the, I wouldn't call it a tandem bike, but the Surrey bikes, yelling to people, ringing the bell, get out of the way, people, get out of the way, people. Whenever she was like 3 years old, so.
Yeah, best memories are Disney memories, right?
And of course, you're in Hawaii, you're at a resort that's Disney, there are going to be pools. And there are 5 actual pools and then a whole bunch of other water places to play around. So the Waikolohe pool, they have the Shaka Shaka pool party. And so you can learn some surf culture, anywhere from the fashion to the lingo. And this is an 8,200 square foot pool. So it's big. There's the Wailana pool, which is a quiet pool. They have an infinity pool. They have the Wailana, with the Wailana pool, it is 18 and over. It's 1,500 square feet. There's tropical shade trees that are near the pool deck. There's the Waikolohe pool. Actually, I said that twice already. But there they have 2 tubing slides that come from the top of Pu'ukilo, which also has some rapids that run through a cavern as you go down the slides. So it's pretty neat. So you get your water slides in and have a little bit of adventure with it. There's the Menehune Bridge, which is a water play zone with magical features created by the Menehune. There's the Kiki Cove, which is a splash zone inspired by the tidal pools that are around the area. There's rainbow water jets. And now these rainbow water jets, this is kind of like what you're going to see at Epcot in the Imagination Pavilion, where the water the leaping waters type thing that they're jumping around. I always had such a fun time with those in Epcot and maybe still do. That there was one time we were down there that we were, I guess I was early teen years, maybe, 12, 13, 14, whatever, that I was just putting my hand, whenever the water would jump over the little walkway, I'd put my hand up and get wet. And then I was kind of tall enough that sometimes I was able to get my head in the way. And it looked like I just got out of the shower fully clothed or just jumped into a pool. I was so wet that time.
Have you been to Epcot and experienced the new Moana?
Oh, yes.
That
That
is
is.
so cool, right? I can't wait to take Ava to go and to see it. It was so neat when I toured it. Such a cool thing. This is similar, like not the same thing, not on this scale whatsoever. But the one in Epcot is just phenomenal. But this one, there's like little, it's just fun. It makes you happy. Water's kind of a cool thing. And water is a big symbol in the resort. There's a lot of like, and it makes sense, right? It sits on a beautiful beach in a lagoon, and there, the really cool thing about Aulani too is that the beach is actually public, so you don't have to be a guest to go out onto the beach. Any of these beaches are accessible to the public, but once you step foot on the actual grounds of the resort, in order to use the pools, in order to get in the lazy river, to do the water slide, to stand in line for the characters, you have to have a wristband on your wrist. And one of the really fun things is throughout the week, you can tell how many people have been there because they stack the different colored bands, and they stack them all the way down their wrist. So you'll be like, oh, they've been here for like a week and a half. They've been here this is their first day. They're different colors. And that's the way that they determine that you are a resort guest. So the beach is public, but the pools, it's not like a free for all. Anybody that are using the pools, anybody that are using the activities that are at the resort are actual Disney resort guests. And they do a really good job of not making people feel like they're not wanted, but there's an exclusivity to the resort. There's a reason why you're spending the money to stay there. There is a reason why you want to stay there with your family, and it's because of the exclusivity of the fact that you have these access to these pools, these amenities that you're not going to get anywhere else.
And it's also a way that you don't need too much sunscreen on that one arm whenever all the bands are going all the way up, because
right.
not going to get on there.
I still have a slight glow.
Now, I mentioned that there is the Waikolohe pool. There's also the Waikolohe stream, and that's your lazy river that Katie's daughter was so generously cooling people off with the water jets.
Can I share a totally cool story too? So we were out in the afternoon, and we were just on the lazy river, and Mickey Mouse came and stood by the lazy river and was like waving to all of the little kids and like chatting with them as they're like go. And I thought, how cool of a core memory is that? You're like on the lazy river, and there you turn a bend, and there is Mickey Mouse greeting you and saying hello to you. So many little kids that were so giddy, so many older people like myself, so giddy about Mickey Mouse, like saying, hey guys, how are you? And seeing everybody on the lazy river. Such a cool, like the character experience. And we've talked a lot about how the Hawaiian culture is very prevalent, but like the character experience is something that is akin to, but I would even say a little bit better than a Disney cruise. You're not standing in like a big long line. You're not fighting like, should we stand in line and wait to meet Mickey Mouse, or should we go ride Big Thunder Mountain Railroad? The characters show up, they're there, you get your pictures taken. You have these, my daughter was standing looking at the koi pond, and Daisy Duck came over, and they had a whole little conversation. And my daughter she's almost 6 feet tall and 14 years old, and just like, it was so, and I was standing up on one of the bridges away from her, and I watched this interaction of her with Daisy Duck, and remembered all of the memories I have of her when she was little and holding my hand and still toddling towards one of the Disney characters. And she's still so giddy about seeing them, and they were so wonderful. So for sure, like the experience, the Disney experience is there as well at the resort.
And so, just because they're not the little kids, they can still enjoy the characters too. So, and as Katie said, it's something that runs in the family because she still does. So it might be hereditary.
I would love to do a trip, and like I'm waiting to find somebody that wants to go with me. I want to do a trip where I just go and like get all the character autographs in the park in like Walt Disney World, and like don't really do all of the attractions and stuff like that. But everybody's like, no, we don't do that with you. So it might have to be a solo trip where I go and just collect all of my. I love the characters. They're so wonderful, and they're so magical, and they do such a wonderful job of like making you feel like you're part of their like stories. I love it. It's the best. All right. Anyways, back to the water. We're in the water still.
Well, before we get there, if we can coordinate trips, I know a certain little girl who would love to go and get autographs with you and pictures. So
Oh, well, yeah, I would totally do that. You tell her she knows my number. We'll
we had
we'll
the most amazing experience on our last trip whenever she got to meet Aurora, that was Sleeping Beauty. That okay, side trip. Well, actually, let's finish the water and then we'll come back to the side trip. So,
Yes.
we're gonna finish up with we're going for like an hour and a half now. So we're gonna finish up with just with the pools, and then we'll pick up and we'll do another episode where we get into the non-pool water stuff you can do, and then the food and all. We haven't even talked about food other than the au gratin potatoes and everything, but the Kamaka Grotto is an infinity edge pool that overlooks the Ko Olina beach, and there are thousands of glittering lights at night you can see from there. And that's without looking up at the stars. So, Katie mentioned before about when's the stargazing? It's at night, and you just go out and look. You can do
That's
that for
right.
free just looking up, but they do have other stuff that's a little more formal. There's also the Kamaka Landing, which is a whirlpool spa, and you can watch the sunset from there. So, we'll cut this into at least 2 episodes. I don't know, maybe we'll do 3 because we're only on page 2 of like 18 that we had of notes. So, no, we're about halfway through. But this one trip, I think I told this story on here before, that we were at Epcot, that my wife wanted to sleep in one time, and my little girl and I, we were up ready to go, rope drop, get there, early hours and everything. And so this was our second day that we had gone to Epcot. This might have been our last day of the trip too, before leaving the next day, that we went back and we did Remy's as our rope drop. So we waited in front of Spaceship Earth and we made our mad dash back. And then we did that. And then we were going to go over to do the Frozen ride in Norway. And so as we're walking along, we were going through France, and Sleeping Beauty is there. And of course, this is rope drop time, and we're there before it's open to the general public. And most people are going straight to one of the attractions, and that's it. And she had no one there. And so we went up and she got to meet her. And my little girl that day just happened to have a shirt on that said love, and the O in love was a rose. And her pants had little roses on them. And she was wearing this pink mini jacket because it was December and it was kind of chilly out in the morning. By the way, that pink mini jacket we got at Disneyland the year before because it was freezing when we were there in December. So it's like, 30s in the morning. So come on, Southern California, you can do better, right? But she got to spend, there was no one else in line, and Aurora was about to go in. And whenever she saw us coming in, she stopped and she went back to her spot to greet people, right on the edge of the World Showcase Lagoon. And she had a cast member with her as an escort. And I asked him, okay, you're going to take pictures? He said, oh, no, he was not a photo pass person. So I got to sit there while my little girl and Aurora just talked. And she made a big deal out of, oh, your dress is your shirt's so pretty with the roses. And oh, I love roses too. And I have my rose garden, and just going on and on. And I got some of the best pictures. That my little girl, who is completely not shy, was being shy that morning. And so she has this little sheepish grin and, kind of, shying away from her. And Aurora, just the expressions on her face, that sometimes whenever my little girl, she pulled open her jacket to show the rose, and the Aurora, it's hard to tell who had a better time that morning, whether it was Aurora or my little girl, that they were both
Are
having such an
you
amazing time talking.
are you right? Because you have that memory too. That's the thing
Uh,
is that we get asked, I'm sure you get asked a lot too, Matt, and I'm sure Maureen gets asked a lot as well. Get asked, when's the perfect time to take your kids? And there really isn't a perfect time, but there are times when the magic is fleeting, that it doesn't last forever. That I remember when my son was little and we took him on Jungle Cruise. And then a couple of years later, he was like, when did they replace the real animals? When did they do that? And it's because the magic, it's still there, no matter what age. Like, I love the fact that my daughter's 14, and I'll ask her, like, are you still okay with a Disney trip? And she's like, yeah, name it and I'll be there and I can't wait to do it and I love it, but it is different. It's different. And so there's never a bad time to take your kids. But for sure, take them when they're little and the magic is real and it's palatable and you can feel it. And then you get those priceless memories, right? I mean, that's the thing is that we talk a lot about, yeah, book your trip with us and we'll help you like figure out the ins and outs. We'll take the stress out of it and we'll do these things and we'll do that else. But the thing that really matters is the fact that we know that these memories are priceless. You can't make them anywhere else. There's something to be said about how busy our lives are, how crazy it is. We get up in the morning, we get our kids ready for school, or get out the door and do our things, and then come back. And a vacation is the chance to stop, to really listen to each other, to hear the things that make your kids excited, to hear the things that like the reasons why you fell in love with your spouse, the reasons why you remember the love that your parents have for you, the relationships you have with your siblings, those kind of things, they come full, they bloom right on a trip. You get to experience those. You get to have the time to stop and listen and hear and savor all of the memories. And that's the thing is that that's why we love what we do. That's why we plan trips for people. Is because we know that you are going to experience something that is going to be talked about at a Thanksgiving table, that will be remembered, that your kids will tell their kids about, that your dad is going to go to the local coffee shop and tell his buddies about. And we get to help you have those experiences and make sure that they are curated and personalized just for your family.
And that's going to lead into my travel tip that you asked when's the perfect time to travel? Now, or as soon as possible. That I think we mentioned this on here before that, people who say, "Oh, I don't want to take them because I think they're too little and they won't remember it or they won't appreciate it or whatever." It's not just their memories you're making. It's your memories too. And as I don't know if it was you or if it was someone else who said that, yeah, it's my memories, my kids' memories as a kid, but they're my memories as a parent. And so when when's the perfect time to go? Now. And again next year. And again the year after. Or whenever they want to go, or wherever they want to go. That wherever you're going with these trips, you're going to have these amazing experiences. And we grew up going to the parks, and we went roughly every 4 years or so. That it's the earliest memory I have of shortly before my third birthday. That we went down, and it was right before Epcot opened. And so I have memories of being in the car and of playing golf on the top of the golf resort, which is now Shades of Green. And then we went to Busch Gardens, and I remember seeing my sister and my dad go on, well, we call it the Raging Rapids because that's what it is at our local amusement park. But it's, when you're in the raft and you get soaking wet on those rides, because I couldn't go on it because I was too little. And my mom was pregnant with my sister, so she couldn't go on it. So we stood on the bridge and watched them go under. But then every couple years, it was a different experience for us too. Like you said, Katie, there's that time when it's the magical thing of, oh, like your son said, when did the animals stop being real? Okay, when, I met the real Mickey whenever I was so little. And whenever I was 2, I shook Mr. Smee's hand. Then again, we went, and whenever I was, I think 18, it was like my graduation from high school that we went that year. I shook Mr. Smee's hand again. I purposely got a picture shaking his hand because I knew about the story when I was little.
We made the biggest joke that, like, a wedding video, we have a picture of my son with Chip and Dale every year until he turned 17, every year. And it wasn't like we did it on purpose, but it's like a memory, like, of him. And that's the thing is that you have memories, you have things with your family, and it seems like trips, I can guarantee you that with probably a few exceptions, your kids probably don't remember exactly what they got for Christmas when they were 6. But they do remember that trip that they took where you took them for ice cream for breakfast. They do remember that trip when they were 10 that they finally were brave enough to ride Everest. They do remember that trip when they were 12 that they finally were able to like be brave enough to swim in the ocean. Those are the things that people remember. They are the things that probably, like, as a listener, if you really think about it, you remember. You remember the trips you took. And that's the reason why, at least for me, that's the reason why I do what I do. I love my job. I love planning trips for people. I love the fact that I get to say, oh, that's going to be the trip where this happens for that 6-year-old. That memory is going to be made, and they're going to have that forever. What a great thing. Travel opens the world up, but also makes your world so much more sweet and nice to be in, too.
We should just end on that. But do you have another travel tip, or is that going to be your tip for the day?
I think that that's a pretty good one, right? The more you like embrace the things. So, like I said, there is something to be said about going somewhere and learning about the culture of that place. If you're going somewhere and you're not learning something new, if you're not doing something different, if you're not experiencing something, I don't care how many times you've been to your favorite destination, there should always be something new to experience and explore. And I think that's the thing is that like you don't have to like go cliff diving. You don't have to like swim with sharks to find an adventure. An adventure can be as simple as trying a new dish at a different restaurant that you've never eaten, or riding that new attraction that you couldn't wait to open, or stepping into Aulani and being like, this is everything that I thought it was going to be in a lobby that you have dreamt about forever. Trips are the best.
And you know it's an amazing place when the lobby wows you.
Yes.
I've experienced that. We mentioned it before at the Wilderness Lodge or the Grand Floridian or the Grand Californian at the Disney parks. That you walk in, it's oh my
Takes your breath
goodness.
away, right?
That my first time I walked into both the Grand Floridian and the Grand Californian, I was it was summer, wearing shorts and whatever else, and I thought I'm underdressed. I hold. Can I go home and get a suit on? Okay, that is what I need to wear to fit into this place. That it was just so breathtakingly beautiful, and for different reasons. That the Grand Floridian is like opulent and ornate, and its Victorian era just glitz and glamour, and then the Grand Californian and Disneyland Resort, it's amazingly, stunningly beautiful, but it's like being out in a national park in the middle of the woods. And even though out there you shouldn't wear a suit, but just walking, it was so amazingly gorgeous. It was, I need to dress up for this.
So, do you know what I like to think of it as? I love analogies. I work with like my brain works in analogies, and I like to like tie things together. I think that like these resorts that we're talking about, and we've talked about them before, and then you've had other people on talking about some of these deluxe resorts, and even just not a deluxe resort, just a Disney resort. They are like you step inside, and they're like the very beginning, the very first chapter of a wonderful story. And that trip, like this first chapter where you know the book is going to be good, like you know it's going to be one of those books that like when you turn that final page, you're like, can I just do that all over again? Can't I read that story all over again and experience it again? These hotels, the lobbies, the places, the experiences, the way that the cast members treat you, they're all a part of the story. And stepping for the first time in one of these lobbies of one of these beautiful Disney resorts is the start of this wonderful storytell.
And to continue that analogy, they're also the last page. That's the last thing you're seeing before you are leaving again. And like you said, it's that wonderful story of, can I read this again? That you're starting with that and then you're coming right back to it. And I mentioned The Hobbit before, or The Lord of the Rings. That's kind of it with Frodo being in the Shire. That he starts off with this, but he starts in the beginning as this, wide-eyed, fresh-faced hobbit, but at the end he's completely changed, but he's in the exact same spot. And that's what you
Right.
get with these vacations of you're coming in and it's the, oh my gosh, look at this. And it's you're the experience of the lobby. But then whenever you're done, you've had that experience and you are changed for it for the better. And you have those memories, but you're in the same spot. And it's thinking back to the beginning of the week of it. Was it that only a week ago? And that you're changed because of it. And so much things that you've done. It just all those memories. And it's a great way to reminisce.
I ask my clients this when they come home. I always say, what was the thing that when you got on the airplane, you couldn't wait to find somebody to talk to about? What was the thing that you sat down and were like, when you got home, you were like, I can't wait to share this with my coworker. I can't wait to tell them, because that's the things that stick in your head. And those are the reasons why, like, we want you to have a great trip. And that's the reason why we put everything we can into making sure you do.
And with that note, if you have a destination well, actually, before we get into this, something going back to what you said is you said about traveling. The more you travel and the farther you travel, the smaller your world becomes. That you have those experiences and you're familiar with those cultures and you realize that people that are living on the other side of the world are not that much different from me. And so it has that closeness. And, like Ava had in Hawaii, she met a friend that lives wherever in the world. That now you have that other person who is out there, that if you are traveling far away from home and you're close to where they are, you're traveling farther from your home, but you're closer to their home. So it's still makes the world smaller.
For sure.
All right, Maureen, what is your travel tip?
I think I was thinking along the lines of Aulani for this particular one, and just don't overplan it. There is so much to do in Hawaii. You could do it, you could go continually every single day, but allow your downtime and allow your time to enjoy that resort. The resort is absolutely gorgeous. There is so much to do there and to relax. And so don't overplan so much that you don't enjoy that lazy river. You don't enjoy the lagoon. You don't enjoy just sitting watching the sunset on the lawn. It's fabulous. So I'd say don't overpack, don't overdo it, don't overplan.
And that's like the general theme of most tropical islands of sit back, go with the flow, do what you got to do. And you don't, it's a different vibe.
It
So,
is, but I think that because Hawaii is one of those places a lot of people think they'll never get back to, so they want to take advantage of going everywhere every day, and you just miss out so much by sitting there and enjoying what's there.
and it's not that and here's another travel tip. You can go back. And after you go once, you'll want to go back. As we
For
were just
Not
sure.
talking about
only
beforehand.
For
can, not
sure.
only can you go back, you should go back.
Yes, yes.
Like, it's kind of like that first time watching a movie that's really, really, really good and you just love it, but then you miss certain things about it. The second time you watch it, you're like, oh, that makes it even better. That makes it, because you know the end, right? You
Right.
know it's going to be fabulous, but you don't want to miss out on some of the things because you're so concentrated on experiencing it the
Right.
first time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Maureen. Okay, we've been pushing enough and gone on for almost 2 hours now. So let's wrap it up. Okay. So if you have a destination or experience that you'd like to have us discuss on the Where Yinz Goin podcast, or if you'd like to share your favorite destination or travel tip, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas. If you are already working with a Dreams by Design travel advisor, then please continue to work with him or her. Otherwise, Maureen, how can people get a hold of you?
Email is Maureen at dreamsbydesigntravel.com. And my Facebook page is Dreams by Design Travel with Maureen.
Okay. And Katie, how can people get a hold of you?
My social media is Dreams by Design Travel with Katie, Facebook, and Katie Dreams by Design Travel Instagram. My email address is katie@dreamsbydesigntravel.com.
So for me, my social media, I'm at Matt with DBD on Facebook, X, and Instagram. My email is matt, at dreamsbydesigntravel.com. The website for our company is dreamsbydesigntravel.com. All this information is in the show description, so you don't have to memorize it or have it written down right now. And you don't have to worry about spelling or anything like that. You can just look it up there. So you can contact us if you need to book a trip or if you have any questions. Please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, tell a friend. Join us next time. We're not that. We'll see you later.